Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. Today's video, we're going to talk about this is exactly why we prepare. And what I mean by that is in regards to what's going on in Shanghai, the city, a mega city, in China. They, as of right now, are on lockdown. They have been on lockdown for 2 weeks. The lockdown was only supposed to last a few days. Now it's 2 weeks. Now it's going to be indefinite. With that, guys, Shanghai has 25 million residents. Keep in mind, New York City only has 9 million residents, right? So they have 25 million. The 25 million residents are all being put on quarantine or locked down in their apartments, even to the point, guys, where they're putting up giant yellow barricades to keep the people in their building, or at the very least off the street. So maybe they can come out of their building, but they can't get into the streets. So now they're confined to the front of their building and, their apartment. That's it. The interesting problem, guys, with them being on lockdown is that now the residents of Shanghai are running out of food. Now, before that, guys, they had instant access to food, right? They had food deliveries, they had restaurant deliveries, they had supermarkets delivering to them as well. They had all this access to food. They even had the vendors downstairs that they can go to and get dog feed or whatever the fuck they eat, right? So they had all of that at their disposal. Now it's gone. And right now, only a few people are able to use an app that allows them to get food delivered to their apartments. Now, the food that's being delivered to their apartment, guys, is like a minimum or even limited to what they can order and what they can get to their apartments. And even then, as they're ordering, different items in their shopping cart that they put in start to disappear because it's no longer available. So now they're running into that problem. So now people are getting very limited supplies sent to their homes. Now, one guy, I think he's like a student or something like that, saw the writing on the wall, knew that it wasn't going to be 3 days, and said, you know what, I'm going to prep and prepare and store food for 2 weeks. And he did so. But now they're at the 2-week mark. So he's probably going to have to start finagling some shit. You have people, guys, in Shanghai who do not know how to cook. This is coming from one lady named Day. She says she doesn't know how to cook. She never used any of her pots and pans. She always went out and ate, or she ordered out. It's like here in New York City. A large majority of these people here in the city do not know how to cook, believe it or not. It's real, trust me. So, guys, you got a whole city of Shanghai, 25 million residents. Out of that number, if you will, you have a large percentage that don't know how to cook, right? I don't know how large that percentage is, but it's enough for them to be concerning that now they're stuck at home with some supplies that they have, and they're trying to figure out how to cook. Now, as far as this whole cooking fiasco, this is what happens when you become too reliant on a system. And that system is ordering out all the time, going to restaurants and getting food delivered to your home. If you become reliant on that so much that you don't know how to cook, there is a huge problem. So, side note, learn how to fucking cook. If you are a prepper and you don't know how to cook, there's a big damn problem. You better start going on Julia Child's website or wherever the fuck it is, or a cookbook or some shit, and learn how to cook. Because that is very stupid of people not knowing how to cook, because they become reliant on a system that is built to break down. People are running out of food in Shanghai, guys. And it's even to a point that if you search the internet, you can find videos of people looting supermarkets in Shanghai. Now, initially, I thought they were fighting, meaning I thought the two guys at the video I thought two guys were fighting because they were trying to shop for the lockdown. But the lockdown had already happened, and now they're looting. Now, keep in mind, guys, you don't see looting in other countries like that. You see that here in the United States. You rarely ever see that in a country like China. Well, these people broke out of their apartment, stormed the supermarket, and were looting. And while they were looting, they were fighting with one another, grabbing the last bit of whatever food is there. Now, for people who were using the delivery apps to that supermarket, now they're assed out. So again, guys, people are becoming desperate, and shit is getting real there. Now, there is a part in the article I read where they say government officials are trying to help with this food issue. But one Shanghai resident said this is all luck now. Said you can get on the app and get lucky to order something, and then they also have to rely on government employees to make sure that they're going to feed those who are starving. Now, there are a lot of people stuck in their homes who can't order anything because they're not technologically savvy. There's that problem as well. So they are running into an array of problems that they probably didn't see the first time because their lockdown wasn't as bad as it is now. Now, interestingly enough, guys, those who sneak out to barter for food or look for food, if they get caught trying to get back into their building, the residents in the building don't let them back in, right? So a guy who was actually a delivery server for one of those apps, his community building didn't let him back in. And the cops had to get involved, Chinese police. And it turned out, they said, well, we're not letting him back in because we don't know if he's contagious. This is how scared they are. And so with that, they told him he has to sleep out in the streets for a couple of days. Like, that's going to get better. But this is the problem they're running into. They are fighting with one another at supermarkets like humans would do. They're telling people who live in their building they can't come back in because they were working trying to service the rest of the community food. And this is the thank you that they're getting from their own residents. Now, here's something very interesting, guys. In China right now, the suicide rate is skyrocketing. Again, if you look online, you can see videos and photos of people jumping off their buildings. Whether that's the terrace or the actual roof of their building, people are jumping off and committing suicides. Also, in China, for those people who are infected, they are now killing the pets of those who were infected and sent to the quarantine camps. And yes, the quarantine camps are back up and they're sending people there. And if your dog is left in the apartment by itself, or flat, if you will, by itself, they are killing your pets. Now, this is something out of a fucking movie. This part is out of a movie. There's a drone going around Shanghai with a loudspeaker saying, please comply with COVID restrictions, control your desire for freedoms, please do not open windows or sing. And that was said in Chinese. So, again, that was loose translation. Again, guys, that's how bad it is there. Now, do we see something like that happening here in the United States where they're flying drones around telling us shit like that? No. I think even here in New York City, even the liberal hellhole of New York, I think a lot of people would not sit idly by and let this shit happen. That's number one. I mean, I don't know why the Chinese residents of Shanghai are not fucking storming the fucking streets right now, because they're docile. I guess they're soft. They're scared of the government. But even to a point, guys, when you're starving, there should be no more fear of government because you're going to die anyway. So you might as well hop to it and get in the fucking government's ass. But that's just me. Now, guys, what lesson is to be learned out of this whole thing? I'll tell you. This is why we prepare. This is why we fucking store food away. This is why we keep stacking it to the rafters. Because if cities end up in a situation like that where we can't go outside because something a little more realistic happens, where we're not allowed to go outside or we can't, we have food so that we can stay in our homes and live off of that for a long period of time. A lot of us have years that we can live off this shit. Some of us has months. But to turn around and look in your fridge and go, shit, I got 1 day left after being on lockdown for 3 days, there's a problem. And this is why we prepare. We also prepare so we're not in the supermarkets looting, fighting with other people, possibly getting hurt, so that we're not outside making ourselves a target going, let's go get that dude. He looks like he's got a lot of food because he's fat. Right? So we don't make ourselves targets and we don't get involved in the bullshit, and we have more than enough food to feed our family so that we don't have to watch our kids starve. This is why we prepare. All right, guys. So other than that, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.